We are going live a little earlier than planned due to a scheduling conflict.
Yep.
But my husband's going to pull up the chat just in case people hop on. But we are out at in the town where my in-laws are, so Junior's parents, and we are out here for a 10-day stint visiting family, which is awesome. We're super excited about that. But I wanted to try to still go live if we could. We are at a local park, so I'm hoping that you can hear us okay. We are under one of those nasty white decorative trees that have all the white blooms that like to make everybody sneeze around here. They're very common in California for decorations. So, and we have geese on a pond behind us. I don't know, let's see, can you see the pond behind the trash can? There's a pond behind us. So there are some geese out there having fun. But we are here, and you're bouncing the table. We are here and enjoying some family time, and yeah, we're just excited. So if you are new, I'm Jennifer, and this is my husband. Or Junior. And we are the Padilla Family Homestead. We're all about living with intention, whether that is growing food with intention and living what we're eating, how we are choosing to make choices, what music we listen to, spending time with family, all of that, all intentionally living. Now I'm bouncing it. So today I wanted to talk about intentionally building a pantry and buying in bulk, and how that can affect your pantry, and how if you do it with intention, it can actually save you a ton of money, because right now we have inflation everywhere. You have to get closer and talk louder because you're soft.
Yeah, it's just crazy how expensive everything is nowadays.
It really is. Things have tripled, if not quadrupled, and the price of everything is crazy. And one of the ways, like, I don't know, like, we've talked that if we didn't already buy in bulk, I don't know how we could eat healthy.
There's no way.
I don't see it. Like, the economy, the way it is, where we are right now, and again, we're in California, and the cost of living is off the charts, and the cost of food is off the charts. I'm really hoping this background noise isn't too loud.
Hopefully.
If I watch this back and the background noise is too bad with the road, I'm probably going to delete this and just record it.
Can't really tell. Because
you can hear it.
I'm around the background trying to hear if there's background.
This tree's gonna kill me.
I can still hear it.
So, I want to kind of talk about, people ask a lot of times how we started with a bulk pantry, how we were able to, what were the steps, because when you're already tight on funds and you are already struggling to make ends meet, how do you buy something more than what you're already having, right? How do you buy something for in advance? And that can get tricky. And I would say my biggest thing is one, don't stock up on things you're not going to eat.
I think more of anything is having a plan and a strategy.
Yeah.
And not just stock up because you think you need to stock up out of fear. I think more of anything, you need to stock up stuff that are healthy, not too many preservatives, not too many chemicals, stuff that's going to be good for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to being good for you and lasting in time, it gets tricky because that's when they add more and more preservatives.
Depending on how you buy it, because freeze dried, you can have it last a long
That's
time.
true.
And it also comes down to how you store it.
Right.
And so I think there is a difference. Now, I want to preface this. I'm not talking about a prepper's pantry.
No.
I think it's really important to have a bulk pantry for everyday grocery use because it saves you money. Now, if the world were to collapse and there were issues, then that allows you to have food on hand,
Yeah.
right? You already have it on hand, and then it becomes a prepper's pantry. But I'm not talking about buying a bunch of food, putting it in the cupboard, and not touching it for 25 years. I don't think that's economically wise.
Yeah.
I think it's wise to buy things that last and use them throughout rotation.
Yeah.
So one thing that when you cook at home, you use a lot of spices. You can save so much money by buying spices in bulk. And then you're not paying for each of those. I don't know if you can see, it looks like it's snowing, it's petals. So it's not just, you're not paying for each little container, you're not doing all of that. You don't have to have fancy things. You can use mason jars, put your spices in that, and in that, like I've talked about this before, if you buy 1 pound of organic dried basil from Azure Standard, it's under $8 the last time I bought it. And 1 pound is 2 gallons. 1 gallon.
1 gallon.
1 gallon of basil, right?
So
And
just imagine a gallon container full of basil.
So let's just say I'm going to plan more meals that month around utilizing basil.
Right.
So that's the herb that I'm going to buy that month. There's no way you're going to go through a gallon of basil. At least I don't think there's a way you're going to go through a gallon of basil in a month. So you spend about $8 on this basil, right? And then that's something now that you're going to use all year long, okay? Now, let's say that you are making bread at home. Now, if you are making all your bread at home, and you're going to need flour, salt, and yeast, and water. Those are the basics to make an artisan bread.
Right.
Sourdough, you need those basic components with your sourdough starter, but you're also going to need sometimes honey, or some recipes call for milk or whatever else. But if you go for a basic recipe, it's flour, yeast, and salt, okay? So you buy 1 month, you're going to buy the big 25-pound bag of flour. It's best to store your flour in an airtight container. It's going to help it last longer when you're not getting air or moisture and all these things into it. So when you buy bulk sizes, okay, this is a tricky thing. You have no idea how long flour's been on the shelf. So trying to buy it somewhere where it's as fresh as it can be is really important. But if you're just starting out and you don't have 5-gallon buckets for this, you could put them in Ziploc bags and then wash and reuse Ziploc bags, but that you want to make sure that's clean. So if you're getting a 25-pound bag of flour, I always suggest, if you can, freezing it for 2 to 3 days, letting it come back to room temperature in that Ziploc or whatever it's in, so you're not storing moisture. You need to let it come back to room temperature and then put it into whatever it's going to be stored in, whether you're keeping it in the Ziploc bags or you are putting it in a 5-gallon bucket or big gallon glass jars, however you're going to operate it. I do it primarily with in 5-gallon buckets, and then I have a gallon for the flours that I use frequently. I have them in a gallon jar in my kitchen that I use. So that is a way that you can do that, okay? You buy that flour, and that's the main thing that you're going to operate off of. I started with Costco cheap flour because I wasn't making sourdough, so I didn't need unbleached. I didn't really know about all of the nutritional benefits of how things last, how long things last, and how fast the nutrients leave.
Best way we know is by buying the wheat berries.
Yes, so your flour has 6 months to a year shelf life. So you don't want to buy more than what you're going to buy, than what you're going to use. There's no point. That's not a savings in money. Now, if you and a friend can go in, if you don't use 25 pounds or 50 pounds, then you and a friend go in, you split it, and you get the cost savings, right? But if you have a grain mill and you're looking at how can I have things last longer on the shelf, then you can get wheat berries, which are the wheat grains, and you can store those for 3 to 5 years, I think it is. And you store those in the 5-gallon buckets, and then you're not releasing those nutrients until, the wind picked up and those flower buds are coming. So I'm hoping this is not too loud. If you could let me know if you can hear us okay, that would be great. I'll look for that in the comments. So if you can let us know in the comments, that would be amazing. So the wheat grains, they don't release their nutrition until they have been milled. And that is super beneficial. However, if you have never cooked with whole grain flour that's been freshly milled, that's not the first thing you want to start with. That is kind of the stepping stone. So I went from the bleached flour at Costco for, at the time it was $8 for 25 pounds or something like that. I haven't seen prices like that in a long time. Unbleached is going to be better because if you're going to do sourdough, because the bleach from that can kill your sourdough. So you want to look at that. You want to stock what you're going to use. And then, so flour's great. Spices are a great place to start. The next place to start, I would say, is rice and beans. And this is only if you eat rice and beans. We eat some rice. We don't eat a ton of rice. So there's no reason for me to stock up on a ton of rice. I get a 25-pound bag of brown rice, and then I bag that and I put that in the freezer, and then I take out 1 gallon at a time as I need it. Our family goes through a ridiculous amount of pinto beans, and so we get the 25-pound bag of pinto beans a couple of times a year. Snacks. If you want to start figuring out how am I going to do this, you take your allotted snack budget. Air popped popcorn can be so healthy. And if you buy it in, so you can buy them 1 pound at a time from Azure, but that's going to be more expensive. If you buy 5 pounds, that's going to be a savings. If you buy it in a 25-pound thing, that's going to be an even bigger savings. All of those are cheaper than buying the microwave popcorn in the little packages from the store, and they're better for you. So for me, that's something that I look at. We love popcorn, right? So we bought the popcorn in bulk. We bought it in the 25-pound bag. And then when we do toppings, I wasn't buying those in the same bulk quantities. We were going through those, and then when I could, I bought bulk in the toppings. And then from there, you move into, okay, so I've done flour, I've done salt, I've done some spices. I keep building the spices. You can buy yeast in bulk, active dry yeast. I've gotten it from Red Star because I know the one from Red Star was gluten-free at the time. I don't know what it is right now, but it was the one I bought was gluten-free, and I kept that thing sealed, airtight in the freezer. And then when I opened it, I put it into a mason jar, sealed that, and put that back in the freezer. And I just keep my yeast in the freezer and use it straight from the freezer. And then it doesn't go bad. It doesn't lose its potency as fast. And so making sure you're storing things appropriately is so important. And so if you take a little bit, if you take a little bit, in 1 month, I'm going to buy bulk basil and flour. Okay, so now I'm going to need to skimp on if I need some of these other herbs. I need to make sure that I'm actually making my own bread and I'm using basil to flavor things, right? And then the next month, I'm not going to have to buy basil or flour. I'm going to buy beans and rosemary or whatever it is, right? And then the next month you use that and you're going to find your rotation and on how quick you're using things, and you slowly start implementing one thing after another thing. Now, Azure Standard is convenient for us. We don't have to pay a drop fee where we are because we're on the West Coast, so I brag about them a lot. However, Costco is amazing. I don't have a Sam's Club. I don't use Sam's Club, so I don't know what is available at Sam's Club for buying bulk, but I know a lot of people like that. Again, we're on the West Coast, so we have a Winco, and the Winco has a bulk section where you can buy bulk spices, and anytime, if you can buy spices without paying for their glass or plastic container, you're going to save so much money. So, I mean, again, another local store is Nugget. You can buy some spices in bulk, but anytime you can do that, it may not be in large quantities yet, but if you start finding and looking for those spots that have the bulk barrels,
Even if they have like
louder.
even if they have like a Winco, you don't have to find like fancy places. Granted, the product might not be the greatest, but you still get bulk there.
Right. I think Winco is still good. You may not be able to get organic or whatever, but I think it's a good place to start. And I would ask around, and sometimes there's restaurant supply stores, and you can get good deals on stuff. And I think once you get some of your dry goods going and you get your pantry, your dry pantry built, then it's going to be easier to build your freezer pantry. And if you can buy meat in bulk, if you can buy butter in bulk, any of those things can be stored in the freezer and used as needed. We want to work our way there. We're not there, but we want to work our way there to get like half a cow or a cow.
Well, the other thing we also want to work on, aside from meats, is
Butter.
eventually getting to the point to where we can meat, can everything
Right.
that we're growing, that where our pantry grows bigger.
That is. The other thing is, if you are growing a garden, grow what you buy. Like, grow what you eat. If you eat a lot of Swiss chard, you should be growing Swiss chard. If you never eat kale, don't grow kale.
No.
Like, to me, I think the most disappointing thing is to grow a bunch of something and then never use it. Like, it's like, why am I spending the time growing it if it's just gonna sit there and go bad?
Exactly.
And it doesn't encourage you to grow a garden, or any of that. And that's another thing, is when you are buying in bulk, goes with food. It can also go with seeds, like cilantro seeds. You could buy microgreen cilantro seeds. You get so much more for the price, and you can have, that could be enough seed for like an entire neighborhood.
Microgreens are quick. They
Yeah, but you don't have to grow them as a microgreen.
Oh,
You
okay.
can grow them as an individual plant, and so you just have thousands of seeds. But because it's marketed as a microgreen where you cut it, it's cheaper. And it saves you money. And so if you start looking at the areas where you can buy in bulk, I think that will save. Do we have any questions? I don't think any have popped up. It's hard to see on my screen with the reflection right now. So if you have questions about buying in bulk, make sure you drop them below. We are at an awkward park bench, so he's gonna get up for a minute. So if you have questions about that, I would definitely drop them below. There's so many people who have no idea where to start, and there's another whole huge group of people who love buying in bulk, and that's like what they do and how they save money. And so if we could partner all the people who are scared and don't know where to start with the people who have all the knowledge, that would be amazing.
Right.
And so in the chat, just be open, and if you have questions, ask them. Hopefully somebody will answer. I know I will be looking at the chats even while we're out here. I'll be looking at the chat and answering what I can.
If we don't have answers, we can find people to get the answers, and we'll fill it in.
We'll give some suggestions. And I think the first place is to start with, what do you eat? What does your family eat? What is it that you cook all the time? And it may not be the same thing you order out all the time, but what is it that you cook all the time? And so if it's pasta, then you should probably buy bulk pasta and sauce. If it is something like meatloaf or hash browns or whatever, I mean, our hash browns, we buy our hash browns in bulk.
And this kind of also relates to what you said on your last video about
The Last Life?
Storing pre-made meals.
Oh, in the freezer.
In the freezer. You can make pastas, lasagnas, even have like pre-made meatloaf, or I don't know, something.
Meal prep it.
And then have enough storage in your freezer to where it's easy for you just to pull out, and then you can spend 2 days prepping more meals and put them in the storage, and that's rotating your food out of your pantry or your freezers and whatnot, and then restocking it again.
The less you go to the grocery store, the more money you're going to save. There's always going to be impulse buys, whether it's chips or snacks, or this thing is on sale and this looks good right now. The more that you can avoid the grocery store, the less impulse buys there will be. The more you buy what you eat, the less food waste you will have. So if you're experimenting and you want to go like, oh, I wonder how my family will deal with granola instead of cereal for breakfast, then try some granola, right? Find a granola that you guys like, but you're going to get bored of the same thing. If all you have in your pantry is rice and beans, you're going to get really bored. If all you have in your pantry is basil, you will get bored. And at some point you just don't want to eat because you're tired of eating that same thing over and over again. So making sure you figure out what you like and how you can get that in bulk, and if you can store it. We don't store a lot of veggies right now in the apartment the same way. I will buy that fresh, and we buy meat. We try to buy meat when it's on sale and be wise about that, but we do all of our dry goods in bulk. We do our butter in bulk. We do all of our spices in bulk. And fill in where we can. That's my suggestion. I'm not seeing any comments come through right now.
No.
So I think that's the food for thought we're gonna share today before I get attacked by the ducks behind me, because there's ducks popping up, ducks and geese. So I think that's where we're gonna leave you today. Food for thought. Go through and see what is it that you eat, and what things you think you can buy in bulk. And if you're looking for areas, go through and go, I use a ton of this. I'm buying a ton of this. How can I save money? And if you don't know, ask us how would you save money in buying this in bulk? Or I eat this much of this, how would you store this? Because that's half the battle, is how you store it. So, because you don't want it to go bad. And I think that discourages a lot of people, is when you buy something in bulk and then you throw half of that away, and then it was a waste of money. So why am I doing it? So don't bite off more than you can chew. Start with the things you know you're going to use. And I think somebody's about to start a leaf blower. So we are going to log off and enjoy the rest of our visit here. We have a video scheduled for you guys for Wednesday already, and I will have something coming out on Friday, so you'll have all your videos for this week, and we will be back home sometime on the following Monday, so we should be good to go live then. If you have any suggestions for topics, I would love to hear them. And we will see you guys on the next one. Just make sure you're living life with intention.
Yes.
And that's all. We love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
I don't know what the cover video